Hi, I'm Sara and welcome to Hen Corner. Today we are making cheese and onion picnic wheels. Really simple, really straightforward. Who needs to buy canapes from the shop when we can make them ourselves with stuff that we've probably already got at home? Now we're going to start off with a very quick flaky pastry. And how we're going to make this, my mum always told me it's half fat to flour. So into my bowl, I'm going to put 250 grams of plain white flour. It's only when you measure it that you can see that you actually have got what you need. So 250 grams of plain white flour. I'm then going to go for 125 grams of butter, which I know is half a packet. So if I just cut that packet in half. There we go. And this is where I'm going to be proved right or wrong. Absolutely perfect. 125 grams of butter. It's very cold straight out of the fridge. I'm going to keep it in its wrapper for good reason. Move the scales out of the way. Into the flour, 250 grams of flour. I'm going to sprinkle half a teaspoon of salt. Just give that a quick stir around with my hand. Now, how we're going to incorporate the butter into the flour, we're not going to rub it in, which is the traditional method for short crust pastry. We're going to grate it in. And to grate it in, we're going to hold it in the paper. That's why we didn't unwrap it before we cut it. Got to work quickly. It's cold butter and you want it to stay cold as you grate it. So we grate the butter into the flour. When we've got one layer of butter over the flour, just use your other hand to flick it through so that the butter is getting coated in the flour. There we go, just folding in the butter into the flour. Taking the paper down as you go because we don't want paper grated in. We also don't want fingers grated in. Ooh, that is perfect. Take the grated butter out from inside your grater and just combine, just gently toss the grated butter in the flour so it's evenly distributed. Now we're going to pull this together into a light dough by using cold water. This has been in the fridge and just enough cold water to combine it. I'm going to use my scraper here because I don't want my warm fingers in the butter any more than I need to because it will melt it. So just draw it together with the water. You might need to add a little bit more. We're not looking for a bread dough. We're not looking for a smooth pastry. We just want it to come together. So you might need to give it a quick squidge just to make sure that the water is nicely distributed. You are probably looking at about 150 grams of water, but don't add it all at once, a bit at a time. And just like bread making, pastry making is the same. You mix it until your bowl is clean. You want to combine it so that everything is incorporated. Once everything's together in a ball, out onto your work surface. Bit of flour on top, bit of flour underneath, and gently just fold it together. We want to make sure that it doesn't melt. So those grated bits of butter form a nice marbling in the flour and throughout the pastry. That's probably a bit much for now. I'm going to cut that in half, put that back in the bowl, and we're going to lightly roll it out with a rolling pin. If it does get a bit sticky, turn it over. Dust it with flour. And you can see bits of butter, that's fine. That will encourage the pastry to puff up. Just making sure that it's definitely not stuck. Ooh. Flick it over. There we go, a bit more flour. Ooh. I told you that was probably too much pastry to work with in one go. So you want it relatively thin. And in an ideal world, you'll have it rectangle. What we're going to do now, we are going to, I said cheese and onion, didn't I? We're going to grate cheese. You can use the same grater that's had the butter, that's no problem. Grate cheese over the top of the pastry. I'm using a nice mature cheddar. And then grate onions. So we're just going to peel this onion. We're going to keep the end of the onion together so that we can hold the onion. And then grate the onion over the cheese. Then make sure you've scooped out the inside, all the onion that's got stuck in the grater. If you do have lumps of onion, you can just distribute it around. Excellent. Then we're going to go for some salt, some pepper, and then we're going to roll it up. I'm going to start this end and roll it up. You can use your scraper if it's a bit stuck to the board. I've got my roll of pastry with cheese and onion. I'm just going to sprinkle it with flour, and then I'm going to slice it into rounds and pop it on my baking tray. The baking tray's just been lined with some parchment, and these little wheels are going to stand on their sides. I've got my cheese and onion picnic wheels. They're on the baking parchment on the tray. They're going to go into a hot oven at 200 degrees for about 12 minutes. We're going to check them. When they're nice and light brown and puffy, they're ready to come out. Oh my goodness, they'll be lovely. Our cheese and onion picnic rolls are out of the oven. They smell amazing. Who doesn't love the smell of melted cheese? I did have them in a bit longer, so I checked them at 12 minutes and I left them in until 15 minutes at 200 degrees because I wanted them to start to go a bit brown and crispy. And these are perfect, packed up in a picnic. They are lovely as a little snack before supper with a drink. Great for sharing, and we'd encourage you to have a go and let us know how you get on. Really simple, really easy. Our cheese and onion picnic wheels. We'll see you next time. Join us on the journey.